Hello, everybody. My name is Samir and with me here is
Abdullah.
we are two English language teachers, and we're reflecting on 2022 experience. This is our first podcast, and we wish that you like our podcast. And we'll be discussing three basic questions. Question number one: what worked for us this year? Question number two: what didn't work? And question number three: what we could do better for next semester. We're looking forward to next semester, and this reflection session will help us improve our teaching. Yes, Abdullah. So let's start. Where do we start? With the first question.
It's quite beautiful from you to locate your finger on the right questions every semester and indicate to the three most important, let's say, outcomes at the end of the semester. From my background, I would say that any teacher would experience anything new in every semester. So every semester is basically packed with a new experience that can be added to any teacher's journey. To me, previous semester, if you ask me about reflecting on that, it was to some extent special. One of the things that I noticed, which was easier than the previous, is harnessing smart applications to science-specific teaching tasks. So probably instead of, let's say, reviewing papers with their handwriting and, let's say, typed papers, some of the application that can be commenting directly from the students and ask them how to phrase sentences or how to write a paragraph or a passage, and can be viewed by smart devices, whether it's a phone or a laptop. A second point I would consider as a pros is classifying these students into different sections, let's say heterogeneous or homogeneous sections, which can be helped classifying these students' level in accordance to their needs towards developing their second language. A third point, employing writing workshops for improving academic writings, because these students stage where bachelor and preparing them for after graduation for the labor market, or for even wider horizons if they are seeking higher studies. These are the most important, let's say, pros I experienced last semester, and thinking that there are many minor set can be taken in consideration any teacher when it's teaching or when teaching this course. As for cons, something that you can...
Okay, before we talk about cons, you mentioned using technology as a tool to engage students in learning. And one of the things I think we both worked on is using Padlet. You used it for teaching writing. And I've seen some of your work with your students. I use also Padlet in my class, and I will use it next semester. I use it basically to collect students' homework. And I think, as you mentioned, also Padlet, not just it helps you with your writing, but also you can add your PowerPoint, you can add the audio, you can add the photos, you can comment, you can evaluate. So there are many things you can do with Padlet that could engage students in the process of learning, as well as it could be a very good communicational tool for starting a conversation or a project with students. And I've seen also what you have done, and I totally agree with you. Can you think of another app?
It depends on the purpose that you want this app to serve. For example, if you want to present a lesson, I would think of Prezi or Canva for postering or designing any video animated presentation, or you can think of at least the PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. There are many actually.
But let me just mention two things, emphasize two things. PowerPoint, as you said, this is a powerful tool, and I think we should use it more often. And also, it could be used in so many ways. It's not just the classical PowerPoint, but it can be used in different ways. Even you can make mind maps using PowerPoint.
Exactly.
Yeah. That also as well. And also the other thing you mentioned, Canva, I agree. Canva is a very good tool for teachers, whether you're creating material for social media or you're creating a PowerPoint or you are creating a mind map. I totally agree. Very good. I can add something you already know also. Google Keep, I think, is a very smart tool. One of the things I've done during this semester, I tell them to start your account. Make sure that you go to Google Keep. And I show them how to make labels for their course, take pictures of the whiteboard, take pictures of your homework. So I want to make sure that I integrate technology into our daily procedure. the other mind map we talked about the other day, Mind Meester.
Yep.
I think this is again, I use it with my students, and me and you this semester we're collaborating, trying to work on several applications. And one other thing we were discussing and we worked on yesterday was Microsoft Whiteboard. I think both of us tried the new updated version of Microsoft Whiteboard, and I thought that was very cool. These things that worked, what didn't work, or what difficulty did you face or challenge did you face in the previous semester?
It depends from one section to another. Generally speaking, for example, when trying at the beginning of the semester, when I'm trying to develop a rapport between me and my students, let's say shorten the distance between us. I believe when the distance is shorter, the message can travel faster than ever. Some of the students could just, I'm not saying some, but few, very few of them could not control their absence. And when they are absent, they actually break one link of the chain, which could eventually result in missing information when it comes to a question, let's say in the final test, or a procedure that can be applied in their writing. When I'm trying to sit down with them, trying to, let's say, solve this problem, something that they cannot control, their social background, circumstances, and in this case, the teacher cannot do anything more than just to make the lesson as easy as possible. So probably I find myself every time repeating the lesson to these people who are being absent for out of control circumstances. Maybe another point is students still don't know the difference between copying and pasting from any place on the internet and at the same time plagiarism. Some of the students after graduation, they would seek their higher studies horizons for, let's say, master's and PhD. And I want them to feel the gravity of how if they just took an information from any place, they have to reference that, or it could be considered as plagiarism. And for that, there's a penalty according to the council, let's say, of the university. Our students, to some extent, they still need to be more literate about this issue. I don't blame them because they are not being aware about that from the high school studies or, let's say, the diploma stage. A third con is the course itself. The course itself is so superficial when it comes to the academic writing. It's barely tapping the surface of the academic writing. And we know that the academic writing is a very profound field when it comes to referencing and to, let's say, traditions of the academic writing. Respectively, it needs more application and practice that can be taken into the second level, upgraded by the teacher for the students, workshops. There are many cons, but we want to be optimistic in general and not go into details.
Yes, I agree with that. First, we talked about students' absence. I had that problem as well. And one of the things that I try to do is that I provide some type of review, and I usually post it on a blog. My plan was to give a quick review of the lesson, so that will help the students. Sometimes I post short audios on Padlet just to break down the whole lesson into a very short video. The other thing we talked about is students copying, and you give them homework and they just copy and paste it from each other or maybe from internet. And one of the things I've done this semester, and I thought the technique worked, and I will apply it on a bigger scale next semester, is that I took a photo of all the students' work. So when we post it on Padlet, this is the interesting thing, that everybody looks at each other's work. For example, this semester I had mind map homework. I asked them to do mind maps about the course, about lessons. And then I asked them to do mind maps on a general topic. Then I asked them to do a mind map by using an app, which is a simple mobile app that you can use for mind mapping. So when I checked their mind maps on the board, on the screen, I noticed that everybody was careful not to put anything replicating his friend's homework. So they knew that, okay, I don't want to be put in this situation. I told them, look, your homework is going to be viewed by the whole class. So automatically we notice if this is too complicated level, how did he do it? The other thing about academic writing, again, it's always a challenge. when you teach a course that writing is it's a long process, and it takes a lot of training to move on grammar and punctuation. I taught first steps in academic writing, and I totally agree with you that this is something that it takes a long time. And one of the things that I liked about your Padlet homework is that you spend a lot of time checking. This is, I think, one of the things that many teachers don't like to teach writing, because checking the homework itself is just, it takes an hour, 2 or 3 hours. So mashallah, I like what you were doing with the reviewing your students' homework. And I've seen you also sit one-on-one with the students after that.
Let's not forget who first indicated the application itself.
Yeah.
You are the master of all of us.
Yeah, right. And what I like is that you use technology, but at the same time, you sat one-on-one, checking and giving that 5 minutes to each student. You're giving quality time to your students on a one-on-one basis.
Considering that this is
Like
the least of their rights,
this semester.
serving them in this field.
Okay, so next semester, our final question, we will end our episode with this question. What can we do different? So what are we going to be doing next semester?
Thinking about personal scale, as we said, that we are repeating to some extent ourselves every semester, and this is could result in dull, breaking the routine or the boundaries of this, let's say, consistent scenario. What I just try to adapt, and this is something I learned from you, is to have a special mindset at the beginning of every semester, trying to adapt the circumstances of that, whether it's like a high load of hours in my timetable or weekly timetable, or if it's challenges with anything or outside circumstances. So probably this is a technique I learned from you, which is creating special mindset for every semester in order to break that routine. And this is for personal scale, or let's say the inner circle of myself. Another suggestion, let's say, make acquaintance to your students from the beginning of the semester, calling them by their names, introducing yourself to them, try to sit down with them in order to make a kind of partnership, if you like, because the process of education in general is like a partnership between teaching and learning, and you cannot make sure that the learner is receiving the right message unless if you are delivering it from short message. As for a third suggestion, including many colleagues in figuring out a solution for students' current constraints that can be applied and avoided next semester. And probably many minds and brains are way better than one. So probably sharing your colleagues, consulting them about what to do or what's the right procedure could just make up an idea in one mind to be authenticated and delivered to the real life.
We've hit the nail on the head. And first of all, you mentioned the mindset. I totally agree. I think mindset is crucial in the beginning of next semester. We need to be positive, work smarter, than work harder. And again, working as a team, partnership. You mentioned that we look at our students as, oh, we are all learners. They're not students, they are learners, as we say. Getting to know my students, I think this is very important. You mentioned it. One of the crazy stuff that I only did this semester, we created groups at the beginning of the semester. I want to get to know my students. I need them to get to know each other. So we create groups. Week one, we gave names to each group, and then we created the group in Padlet, and then asked the groups to have a selfie of themselves. And the whole thing was just, as you mentioned, I want to get to know the students and break the ice and break that isolation, or that everybody's living in a bubble and working alone. So we wanted to create a community inside the class where everybody could work without being afraid to make mistakes while learning the language. The other thing you mentioned is collaboration. I think this is a very important tool that we discussed, that we as teachers, we need not only to share, also to collaborate. Inshallah, for next semester, we will be using podcasting as a tool to encourage a positive discussion about our teaching and how we can improve, because there's always a room for improvement. We will end with this. The saying is that if you tell me, I will forget. If you show me, I will remember. If you involve me, I will learn. Hopefully, we will involve our students. We talked about it for a few days, creating an English club for next semester, where we involve our students and create partnership inside our classes.
Thank you, dear listeners.
Thank you, Abdullah, for your time. And inshallah, this is our first episode. And we will be recording the beginning of next semester. And stay tuned See you and have a nice day.